All right. Good day, beautiful people. I want to invite you to take this next hour, get your pens and your pads out. And I want to invite you to get enveloped in what we're going to be talking about today. So, today is our Give It, Get It business series. And we're going to be talking to Magalie Yacinthe about Black Wall Street Forward 2025 and beyond. And I just want to give you some insight into what we do here, who I am, and then we're going to get into this good conversation. So I'm Chisa Pennix-Brown, the Chief Curator over at Give It to the People. We're a mental wealth company that is focused on getting your mind right and your money right. And in addition to that, what we do is we do this particular series. And so this is a webinar series that we want to make sure that people are clear on things that can help them with their businesses. So this is really for our business owners, our entrepreneurs, our solopreneurs, mompreneurs, but also for our entrepreneur service organizations. So we want to make sure that people get the opportunity to be able to find out what's going on in the state and then just beyond. And so what we do is we partner with different companies, government agencies, and different organizations in order to give you different perspectives of things that you can do in order to really improve your business acumen. So I get the pleasure of bringing on our guest today. Magalie, how are you?
I am wonderful, Chisa. Thank you for having me.
Yes, so I figured I was going to wear a red lip because I thought you were going to wear a red lip. So I said, I'm going to put these red lips on today because I knew you were going to do that, right? So this way we could be coordinated with Black History.
I love it. You know, we like a little coordination.
You know, a little coordination for them. But for Black History Month, and then also Valentine's Day is coming up. So this gives us, you know, just a little something so that this way we can kind of let people know just from appearance, the coordination and the levels that we go to for all of our good businesses that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to give you a chance to introduce yourself first, who you are, what you do, and then we're going to get into Black Wall Street Forward. But let the people know who you are.
Yes. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. As Chisa said, I'm Magalie Yacinthe. I am a woman with multiple hats. Today, I am wearing two of my hats. I am the Senior Director of Programs at Forward Cities, where we have an amazing initiative called Black Wall Street Forward. And I also serve as the Executive Director of a nonprofit in Winston-Salem known as Hustle. So that's me.
Yes. And so when I met you, I think it was Hustle because Forward Cities, I mean, I knew Forward City was in existence. But just for people who don't know what Hustle does, can you give them a little bit about that if they are in Winston-Salem or in the Triad?
Yeah, absolutely. So funny story, the CEO and president of Forward Cities, she was one of the co-founders along with myself and a few others of Hustle Winston-Salem. So we founded the organization almost 10 years ago now. With a focus on inclusive entrepreneurship. It's primarily because, you know, we saw a gap and a need for our people in the community, and we wanted to create a solve for that, provide a solution for that. So Hustle was our solution to kind of bridge the gap between the resources and the access that we saw was missing, and we continue to provide those resources and the access through programs, through forms of grants, different forms of grants, partnerships, mentorships, et cetera, et cetera. So that's Hustle in a nutshell.
Okay. All right. So now you guys know about Hustle, and we're going to move on so that this way I wanted people to really understand a little bit about what Forward Cities does, but specifically Black Wall Street Forward. And so if you guys look on the screen, you should be able to see that there's like a map of North Carolina. And the way that we got into this as far as Give It to the People was because we were a part of the Durham, is the cohort the right word? What word should I be?
Council,
right? So we were part of the Durham Council, and it gave us the experience to kind of see what was going on in Durham, and then just look at the fact that Durham had an actual Black Wall Street, and then also kind of reimagine what that would look like in now terms. And so when that started, that was like 2023, and then things have just, you know, grown and changed since that time frame. But can you give people a little bit more perspective about why it even started in the first place and, you know, the motivation behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, when we think about Faye, actually our CEO, it was her vision for Black Wall Street Forward. And it really was rooted in honoring the legacy of Durham's Black Wall Street, which some know, but many don't know the kind of like depth of that story. So we really wanted to honor the legacy of that while also simultaneously creating a modern framework for Black economic empowerment. So that was really the big vision behind it. We wanted, like you have on the map there, we wanted to make sure that we can touch different points of the state, because we wanted to start right at home, with Durham kind of anchoring the programs and kind of the learnings that we would take on the journey that we did. And we really did it built on 6 pillars. Those pillars being collaborative Black leadership and innovation, culturally rooted geographic business hubs, ally investment and partnerships, creating talent pipelines seeded by education, engaging with the broader Black community, and really creating self-perpetuating funding engines for our Black communities and our Black entrepreneurs. And really, that was the big idea, the big picture behind Black Wall Street Forward. Our execution of it involved, as you mentioned, Chisa, making sure that we created councils of Black leaders, Black entrepreneurs in each of these communities. So we created councils of 12 people that we really thought, well, we didn't create the councils. We identified an ecosystem builder and residents in each community, and they identified their council members based on those pillars that I just mentioned. And really the idea was to come together, of course, have some learnings, but also create some amazing impact in the 5 communities. So that was the big picture.
Okay. And so now we're going to talk about the forward part of it, right? So when we talk about, and you mentioned this, like ecosystems, collaboration, for me, that's an important factor. And so with us, our theme this year is be in the ecosystem. And every year we come up with a theme, but this year I felt like it was even more important because, we knew the election was coming. We knew there was a possibility. Well, first of all, the president was definitely going to change no matter what, but we knew that there was a possibility that there would be a president that may not necessarily be as favorable for brown, Black, BIPOC, and anything else, different communities.
Yeah.
And so that is what we kind of ended up with. And the thing is that, for me, it was just like, in order for us to really understand what's getting ready to happen, we have to be more united, and we have to stop doing stuff on top of each other. And we have to really kind of see where our strengths lie and find those people that we can actually work with. So that was kind of what we thought we wanted to do. But with the ecosystem building, you've been deeply involved in supporting like Black entrepreneurs. And so from your perspective, what does it truly mean to be in the ecosystem, and why is that critical for Black businesses?
Oh, yeah. When I think about being in the ecosystem, it's just not just about showing up to, networking events or having our name on a membership list. It's really about active participation and building genuine relationships. Like, I think that's really what makes the difference when we're talking about ecosystem building. So when I think about the Black business ecosystem specifically, I see it as an interconnected web of support. So that could be knowledge sharing, that could be mutual growth. And it's critical because, as you know, historically, many Black entrepreneurs have had to navigate business challenges in isolation. So when we're truly plugged into ecosystem, plugged into each other, again, we can share our resources, we learn from each other's experience, and we honestly create opportunities for collaboration that benefits everyone involved.
Now, what would you say when you looked at putting this together, right? Black Wall Street Forward, what was one of the first things that you did to try to make sure that the collaboration was there? I mean, because even when you talk about being in the councils, you got 12 people who some know each other, some don't. I think there was a concerted effort to say, let's put these people together. I think it was organized well in relation to being able to kind of see some of the other people in the state that maybe you didn't know. And I would love, which is why, when we talk about what's going forward in 2025, to really be able to meet more of those people in person and really get a little bit more of that. But what was kind of the thought of saying, okay, how can we make people collaborate?
Yeah. First and foremost, I think of one of the communities we worked with. Many of the people, the first time they got in the room together, many of them had heard of each other here or there in the community, but they had never, ever once actually met each other or collaborated together. And I was in awe. I was like, wow, man, really? Because these are the movers and shakers in communities, and they've never had an opportunity to just come together in this way. So that was first very beautifully alarming to me, but it was also kind of reassuring to know making these connections and collaborations are key, right? So continuing on, I think one of the more intentional things that we had our ecosystem builders and residents do with each community and their council members was politely force regular meetings, and engagement and planning of something that would benefit the Black entrepreneurs in the community that they can work on together and execute. And I think just like anything that we work on as a collective, there may be some challenges along the way, but they were all, at the end of the day, beautiful. Connections were made. I know some of the council members now collaborate beyond what we see. It's exactly what we wanted to see. So I love to see it. So yeah, I mean, I think that's really first and foremost what we were. Well, I don't know that we were thinking that deeply of it, but it's beautiful to see that it exceeded our expectations that way. And then, like you said, Chisa, cross collaboration. I think you are a champion of this, reaching across different cities. So you're not just, I'm with the Durham Council, I just want to do things with the Durham Council. You're constantly asking us, hey, can you connect me to that person in Charlotte? I see you doing things with people in Fayetteville. So like, it's just wonderful to see what those connections have become.
Well, yeah. And I mean, just to throw this out there, I was the only one who didn't live in Durham. Okay. So I think out of all of the 5 councils, I was the only one who didn't live in either of the locations for any of the chapters. I mean, well, any of the councils. So for me, it was just like, okay, is this worth me driving at the time from Greensboro to Durham? And I said, yeah. I said, because now I get to meet some people who I didn't know. And, there are some people that we have consistently worked together, and, we have built these relationships and friendships. We go out to eat. And so it was more than just a business relationship. Some things turned into friendships. Some things also turned into contracts, which, I love a good contract. Yes, girl, drop the dollars. So, I mean, and mind you, it's not that some of those things wouldn't have happened. It's just that I think that it helped them to be faster. And then also for people to kind of see what you actually do. So, and you being able to show some of the things that you did business wise, specifically for us, we give it to the people, then it turned into, okay, well, can you come do this for us? So it was, to me, it was a success. And, I think that I tried to always just take the most out of every opportunity, good, bad, and different, but there's always something to be learned from it. And so with that, then one of the things that we want to do and kind of talk about is really just sustaining Black business, right? So when we talk about that, many Black-owned businesses, they struggle with long-term sustainability. And like for us, this will be 4 years, I guess. This will be 4 years for Give It to the People. But Lady Business started all the way back in 2008. So for me, it's one of those things where I'm just like, I love not going to work, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I do love working. Okay. Don't ever get it twisted. I love working. And I'm probably a little crazy for even saying that. But the thing is that I didn't want to have to work for somebody else if there wasn't something that was aligned. So when I now take on clients and things of that nature, I'm always thinking about sustainability. What can I do next? Because you might get a contract here and then it's gone the next time. It could be funding. It could be changes in whoever's in leadership, right? And so there's always an opportunity for you to do that. But when we talk about sustaining and the long-term sustainability, what key strategies do you think that entrepreneurs should prioritize so that they can build their businesses to last?
Yeah, from what many of us have learned over time, we see sustainability comes down to really 3 key elements, and that's typically, we're told strong financial management, having adaptable business models, and strategic partnerships. But beyond those basics, I believe that Black businesses need to focus on building systems and processes that can scale should they want to scale. It's been my experience working with a lot of our businesses that we know what we're doing. We know how to hustle. We know how to do the thing that we do. But many times we're not documenting our operations. We're not investing in technology. We're not building a strong team. And if we're not doing those things, we're just surviving. And really what I think is important when we think about sustaining our Black businesses, it's really about creating something that can thrive for generations, something that hopefully will live beyond us. And and it doesn't have to be in the form of you want to continue the business, but what legacy are you creating? Whether that's through mentorships or things of that nature, it could really be different. So again, think about those elements. If we're talking about the financial management piece, it's not just keeping good books. It's not about just good bookkeeping. Good bookkeeping. That's important. That's important. But it's not just about that. It's about understanding our numbers deeply enough to make strategic decisions. When we're talking about you being the boss, you being the CEO, you being the executive director, like your job most of the time is making decisions, and you have to make smart decisions. So you need to make sure that you have that understanding of your financials. You need to have, understanding or that you're tracking the key performance indicators, that you're understanding your cash flow cycles, that you're maintaining healthy profit margins, because too often our businesses are focused on revenue while neglecting profitability and cash flow management. When we think about the strategic partnerships, again, this is a game changer for us as Black businesses. It could mean collaborating with complementary businesses, joining purchasing cooperatives to reduce costs for things that we're wanting to do, forming alliances on those big and larger contracts that you're talking about. So, I've seen small businesses transform their trajectory just honestly by having smart partnerships. So that's key with us. And then the last thing I think I'll say about this when we're thinking about sustaining Black businesses is really making sure that, especially in this day and age and time, it's actually critical that we're building on strong digital foundations. So this includes making sure that we have a robust online presence. Like, yes, I know some of us have our presence on socials and have a decent enough landing page or website, but let's spend some energy into that, spend some money if we have to, and if we have it, let's use technology to streamline our operations, right? Like, there are a number of platforms we can use to make sure that we are effective and efficient, and it allows us to leverage data, so again, to make better decisions. So digital transformation, it's not optional for us. If we want to sustain our Black businesses, it's essential. So that would be the key thing, I say.
Yeah, no. And I like what you said in relation to the KPIs. And I can tell you, when I look at how I operated previously, right? And this is just with Lady Bizness. She was the baby. She was the start. So a lot of things wrong, a lot of things right? But still able to sustain. But I had a totally different mindset coming in to give it to the people. Part of that was because Mr. Brown was here, and Mr. Brown plays no games with these numbers. Like, if you can see, if the taxes, if it's the end of the month, please send me that mileage report. Like,
that's right.
On the ridiculousness of on top of it is like everybody needs a him to accountability, right? But everything was, listen, you can't just do stuff because you want to, if that makes sense. And it was like, does this make fiscal sense? And I can say that, all of the years operating Lady Bizness, it was a lot of stuff I did because I wanted to. A lot of things that I did for free because I wanted to try them out and see if it was going to work, right? And so I think once you start to grow your business, you have to understand everything can't be free. You have to understand that there needs to be some form of metrics that you're actually looking at to see, what am I doing here that I could have done better? Or like, this month may not be as good, but I need to make the next month better. And so for me, that has been a drastic thing in looking at the metrics of not just, am I making money? But if I want somebody to sponsor, if I want somebody to collaborate, what are they looking at? And how can what I do benefit them? Like, to me, that was more of a game changer, I guess, you know what I'm saying? And so it was just like everything that I learned from previously. Okay, we did this, that was good. It was reiterating that in a different way to make it make sense for where our new business was going. And in order to make those adjustments. And so like with us doing some of those contracts, like you mentioned, we will subcontract. I do not need to be the main person on there. Okay. So if you got a contract and it's $100,000, okay, well, what's my part of it? Right. Like I don't have to have the whole 100,000, but can I have a piece? And then let me do my part, and then let's continue. And then you keep building relationships. So for me, that was a game changer. And I just wanted to kind of throw that in there with people, because when we talk about sustainability. Now, you also mentioned where we're going to transition to next, which is the funding part and the financial growth. And so a lot of times we are trying to just make money. Like we're just trying to make money, and sustaining might mean breaking even a lot of times. But if we are going to grow, we actually have to, again, do the profit portion of what you're talking about. So the word, and I'm so tired of the phrase, everybody knows this, access to capital. That phrase is like, oh my God, it's so overused, but it is the reason, right? Like, because if we don't get the access, if we can't even step foot in the door, right? If we don't have the key to unlock something, then we're stuck outside, and then we are not able to grow as the way, we probably need to. So it's a major challenge for businesses. And so what funding opportunities does Hustle or Forward Cities provide? Or even if there's something else that's not a part of Hustle or Forward Cities, something that you can give to people as maybe a resource where they can say, okay, well, I can go here because I want to access these certain things. And even if you're not giving out like money, right, it's still access to certain things that can help your business grow. So could you give us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'm about to say those three words. So access to capital. Access to capital. Yes, of course, it remains. The reason you hear it so much, why we're tired of hearing it, and you're going to continue to hear it, is until it changes, right? So it's because it remains one of the significant barriers to Black entrepreneurs. But to answer your question about Forward Cities and Hustle and some things that we may offer, I think about Forward Cities in our E3 Durham program. So a lot of funding that, and I don't know if everybody knows this, but a lot of funding that nonprofits receive, we are not always privy to just give the money out, put cash in hands of people. Unfortunately, I wish we could, right? So we have to think of creative ways and innovative approaches to, to benefit entrepreneurs in communities. So through the E3 Durham program, we have what's called a learn to earn kind of process and method that we use with that program, where entrepreneurs in the community are able to participate in programs either hosted by Forward Cities or by other ecosystem partners, whether they go to mentoring sessions, coaching sessions, participate in cohorts, accelerators, etc. They earn credits. Those credits, once they reach a certain milestone, those credits are transferred into dollars, and those dollars pay for business services that they may need. Mm-hmm. So we've partnered with a number of service providers throughout Durham that offer services at the $300 level, the $700 level, and the $1,000 level. Mm-hmm. And as entrepreneurs receive those credits and reach those tiers, they are able to pick what service they want, and we'll cover the cost through a grant that we received through Durham County. Right. So that allows us to support entrepreneurs and hopefully, while it's not, again, direct dollars in their hands, it's covering some of the services that they may need that they can take out of their budget that they would have to pay for. So that's one of the ways that Forward Cities is doing that. Hustle, with a very similar program, but specifically focused on marketing, through our Marketing Outside the Box program, it's almost aligned. But we are working with very specific Black marketers throughout the state of North Carolina, where we're providing them where they can offer $1,500 services. We've matched them with very specific Black entrepreneurs in the state that have a very specific need that they can provide, and we cover the cost of that to the service provider, and the entrepreneur receive that. So that's two kind of creative ways. But what I want to say is beyond those, we at Forward Cities, we're really seeing encouraging developments in the space of funding and financial growth. And it's things like revenue-based financing. It's things like collaborative investment funds, community-based lending programs. Hopefully we are all familiar with CDFIs, Community Development Financial Institutions. To me, they offer more flexible terms for our entrepreneurs. They provide the technical assistance that comes along with that, along with partners like E3 Durham, partners like Hustle. So, I think that is promising. You mentioned earlier some of the changes we see in the political climate. One of the beautiful things that I like about Black Wall Street Forward, and if our CEO is listening, I don't know if she is, but one of the beautiful things I remember early on that she and I didn't actually see eye to eye on, but I've come to her senses, and I'm a better person because of it. She really focused on the positive side of things, right? She's like, let's make sure that we're not dragging, the history down and trying to make sure that we're always looking at a negative. Let's look at the positive. Let's focus on that. Let's do better because of it, etc. Because me, I was like, nah, I'm mad. We gonna do this. We gonna do that. Me. But one of the things that I've really learned through that is that even in the current climate that we are in, even when we think about funding, even when we're talking about these contracts, we can't lose hope, right? We can't. And I would say that there are what's the saying? More than one way to skin a cat or something like that. So, all right, cool. You want to do these DEI things? There are other ways. And let's focus on those other ways and let's move forward in those other ways. So we just got to make sure that we get our businesses together. We like to solely focus on bank loans or venture capital, excuse me. But let's not miss out on other valuable opportunities.
Yeah, definitely. We've worked with CDFIs for years. And so for me, it is always letting people know about the other options. And so I've seen plenty of people get loans. Some of my clients, those loans may have helped. Well, not may have. I know for a fact helped some people through COVID, which is how they were able to sustain. And not having such rigorous standards in order to get access to those funds, access to capital, that definitely made a difference in relation to going to a traditional bank, because sometimes the amount that you need as a small business is nowhere near what the big banks want to actually fund. So they're looking at things like, oh, this is such a small amount. What are you going to do with that? And they don't realize how much a small amount to a small business is, life-saving, right? As far as them being able to buy the next supply, pay that employee, go to that conference where then it may open up doors to something else. And so there are so many things in business that I don't think people pay attention to the fact that it's still a business expense. And for me, learning and education, that's one thing that we're investing more in this year, because I recognize something once we moved up to Durham, and that was, and I always say this, I've always said it for all of the years. Let me put my big face back up here so y'all can see it. It's real serious. Don't nobody know you, honey. Don't nobody know you, honey, right? And so the thing is, as known as you may be in one area, just like you alluded to earlier, where there was people that they were the movers and shakers all in the same city, but then they never met each other. So what does that say if you're the mover and shaker in your city, but it's a whole state and it's 100 counties here? So for me, it was just like, let's look at other opportunities. I didn't have to be in my city in order to make a difference and make an impact. And for me, I've always done that, right? And, so always traveled. But sometimes people want to stay in one area, and then they wonder why they don't grow. And it's literally because don't nobody know you, honey. So when people know you and you get involved in these things, what happens is, specifically when you get behind the scenes, now you get to know what's coming out before the general public. Now you can set the tone, right? And so I'm gonna throw this out there to anybody who you need a little oomph, right? And it's still on subject. It's just not necessarily exactly what we're talking about, but there are opportunities that people just don't take. So I have made it a priority. And when I say opportunity, so, when you do the SWOT analysis, I've always told people the opportunities is the most important part of the SWOT analysis to me. So I saw a conference, right? And I'm like, oh, I would love to be a part of that. I looked, they already had all of their speakers. They already had all of their agenda. Everything was laid out. But what did I do? I went ahead and sent a message and said, listen, I would love to be a part of this. Is there a possibility that with one of these panels that you don't have a moderator, right? And they were just like, well, not sure. Let's check with the such and such, blase, blase. And then it was like, oh, well, yeah, based on what you do, we would love to have you come in and moderate, right? And I'm just like, now, see, I would have looked at that. Well, no, I wouldn't have. Somebody would have somebody would have looked at that and been like, oh, they don't have any space. I'm not gonna, and I'm just like, if it's meant for me to have it, they'll make space, right? Mm-hmm. Not saying that I needed to be the keynote or anything like that, but sometimes getting your foot in the door and making an opportunity for yourself does make a difference. So when you go to these events and these networking things and all of the rest of that, it's not just about being in the room. Talk to the right people and find out who else is there, and make yourself known in a way that allows people to pay attention to what you're doing. So I just want to throw that out there because it hit my spirit.
I'm really glad you did. I mean, it's the Gemini energy in you.
It is definitely the Gemini energy. You don't know how to be calm.
So, it reminded me of something I forgot I wanted to say around this funding piece, Chisa. I think in our community, we tend to shy away from crowdfunding campaigns. We're talking about funding. To me, it is a creative approach that can be successful on many levels. So it's a great way to raise capital, but it's also a great way to build your customer base, and it's a good way to validate your market demand. So a lot of times when I talk with entrepreneurs, I'll say, have you considered doing a crowdfunding campaign? This way you ain't even got to deal with the bank loan, interest rates, all of that, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So I just wanted to throw that out there as a creative approach to raising capital for yourself. And explore other like cooperative funding models, y'all. Like, do not just get stuck currently with these loans and all these things, because again, like we've alluded to, there are a lot of things that are changing, but let's focus on the other ways that you can raise capital.
Yes, and you may have sparked something, because I have a workshop that tells people how to do crowdfunding, right? Like how to be successful at it. And I haven't done it in a while, but that may be something where we need to bring that back. Okay. Yes, so I don't know. You guys
bring it back for the people, because people have to understand that funding isn't just about getting money. No, it's about getting the right type of capital at the right time. So that means, it might mean starting with grants. It might be starting with microloans. It might mean starting with a crowdfunding campaign. So bring it back.
Okay, I'm gonna have to bring it back. I mean, it's already been a request out there, but if y'all are in the chat and you kind of, you're like, oh, I would love to come to that class, I can already tell you, because as soon as the spirit hits me, that sounds like something we'll be doing in our Give It, Get It business membership. We'll have an opportunity for you to join at the end. Okay, all right. That was a little sales pitch on the side. Okay, so one of the things that we kind of alluded to too, right? Like this is just moving in a certain direction, is the role of community. And so Black Wall Street. Now I'm going to say this, it may not be a popular opinion, and this is my platform, so I can say what I want to say. And I love that, right? I personally feel like things for Black people were better as an overall, not saying the time frame or anything, but the community that was there when there was a Black Wall Street, when there weren't options to go to anywhere and just purchase, right? So I want to kind of pull this into a little bit of the DEI, not too much of it right now, because that's not the main topic here. But one of the things that I think that's important is you can do things without saying them, okay? So if I have my business and we have always focused on women, Black people, BIPOC, LGBT community, that has always been what we've done. We never needed to say we're DEI, right? We never needed to say that, because I told you who the audience was. And I think that way back in the day when we had these Black Wall Streets, we had a much stronger community because we literally spent with each other. And that Black dollar continued to circulate through the community, where it just goes out really quickly now. So when you talk about DEI and people are saying, okay, I want to boycott stores and all of the rest of this. Now, this may not be a popular opinion either. I understand, but I'm not boycotting Target. Okay, I'm just not. I mean, y'all, and that may not be for everybody, right? But I'm just gonna tell you, anybody that knows me knows I love Target. Okay, but I'm gonna tell you the other thing. You can't just throw away all of the things that they did for all of these Black businesses, and they're still in there on the shelves, right? And so the thing about it is that you can still support. And I think that if we took that concept of where can I spend my money first? When I get this money, is there a Black business or a small business or woman-owned business or BIPOC business, LGBTQ business that I can spend my money first? That to me is more of the community. And if you start to look at what's being attacked, it's everything that we stand for. I mean, we as in Give It to the People. So if I make a concerted effort to spend my money in that community, that's one thing that I can do, right? But in relation to this, how would you say that today's Black business owners can create stronger networks and uplift the entire ecosystem? Because I feel like this is one of those things where, you know, one does good, then the other one does good, and then they can see it and we can keep spending. But how would you just kind of help Black businesses say, look, we need to have these stronger networks. We can't just be in silos.
Yes. First and foremost, I'm gonna make my statement. I, Magalie, not Magalie tied to any organization, just Magalie Yacinthe, the person, will and shall continue to boycott Target. I'm just not a fan of you being for us and then all of a sudden being not for us. And I will support the Black businesses that are in Target directly. And I encourage others to do so. But no, you're right. As it relates to, you know, when we think about, we learn about Black Wall Street before our time, whether we're talking about Durham or Tulsa, anywhere across the country where Black Wall Streets existed, it wasn't just the businesses. It really wasn't just the businesses. It was the complete economic kind of ecosystem that they built. So of course they had everything from grocery stores to hotels, from banks to theaters. And the key thing is every dollar circulated within the community multiple times before ever leaving the community, right? And I think that's key when we think about the ecosystem and the role of community and ecosystem. So while the original Black Wall Streets out there thrive because community understood that individual success was tied to the collective. So it was tied to collective prosperity. I think today it looks more like, I may have mentioned this earlier, but creating buying cooperatives. I think it looks like sharing resources and expertise. It looks like developing collective marketing initiatives. I think when we support each other's businesses, we're not just customers, we're investors in our community's future. So what's particularly powerful about this community-based economics idea is really think about how can we create resilience, or not really how can we, because it by default, by nature, it does it. It creates resilience during challenging times. And I would argue that we are currently in challenging times.
Always in challenging times.
By nature, we're creating the resilience that we need as a community. So when businesses, Black businesses particularly, support each other through formal and informal networks, I think we're better able to weather these economic downturns. You know, and history shows us that. We just need to remember that and continue that fight and continue that journey. So again, weathering these economic downturns, what does that look like for us as Black-owned businesses? We might need to, if we don't already, if you may be in some financial troubles or things of that nature, we might need to start sharing back office resources. Maybe my admin can be your admin too, you know, for the next 2 months. Maybe we might share the same bookkeeper and split that expense. I don't know, right? Like some of these back office expenses and resources. We talked about collaborating on these large contracts. I'm going to keep coming back to that because it makes a difference, right? And just creating mutual support systems. So, you know, when we think beyond the traditional networking to build like real sustainable economic relationships, that's the key. So again, that could be formal alliances, but it could also be these informal, organic mentoring relationships that we're doing where some of the more established businesses or experienced businesses or business owners, they are working and mentoring and coaching emerging entrepreneurs in our community. This goes back to me in that conversation I was saying about what's your legacy? You know, I think all of that ties to the role of community in the Black ecosystem. So I think those are key. I mentioned this in the funding conversation, maybe, or one of our previous conversations. But when I'm thinking about the role of community, we cannot ignore digital technology. Do not ignore social media. Do not ignore, and I don't mean like you got to be front street on your Instagram page or your TikTok. Like we can build community in these social networks. Mm-hmm. Let's go. You know, we're all over the country. We can create our coffee shops within groups, right? And strategize. We got to be a little careful with data. With data reaching and all of that, but it's just ways that we can collaborate across geographic boundaries, and we have to do it.
Yeah, well, it's been proven. I mean, when Kamala had all of those good Black women, good white men, good white women, and everybody had their thing, Hispanics for, she showed that hundreds of thousands of people will show up online, right? Yeah. And then raising money in such a short amount of time. And so I think that that's something that, that we definitely can do. And there were initiatives previously that I've seen that worked really, really well. And there may be some opportunities to maybe bring some things back, that allow people. And so like one, I think a lot of people know I love Pinky Cole. She's doing her whole group economics experiments to bring however much money that the person needs to that business, right? And I think the current one now, they're trying to raise $30,000 for this woman's business. She did one where she was trying to help the woman make sure that she got all of her trademarks and everything and help her build up her business. That's one person that started an initiative, and now you're able to help multiple people grow. So it's not that it can't be done. It definitely can be done. And you don't have to be a big, gigantic influencer in order to make that happen. So I think that that's an important factor that you bring up. All right, so let's keep it moving then. I hope you guys are enjoying this, because I am. All right, so the future of Black entrepreneurship, because that's what we're here to talk about too. So with our future, and I'm not going to make this one long because we want to give you some extra information at the end, guys. But when we talk about the future, this year specifically and beyond, and I'm going to change the question. I sent her a question ahead of time, but when you look at North Carolina, let's just stay focused here, and entrepreneurship, what is one thing that you would say that entrepreneurs need to do a little bit more of? And it could be more than one thing, but a little bit more of in order to have a future, because it is projected that, that at some point in time that, Black people as a whole will be at $0, right? But we want to be able to not reach that. Like, we don't want to reach the $0. We want us to be able to thrive, to be able to continue. So with the future, and specifically here, it could be the Winston-Salem, it could be up here in Durham, because there was a question that was asked too, as far as, does Black Wall Street Forward offer guidance on how to establish an ecosystem within the local community? And I love that question that was asked. That wasn't originally how it was designed specifically, but I think that question could be, a great answer. But for the future, like, what do you want to see? What can help people be better and be able to have these Black businesses from now until?
Yeah. Well, to the question that was asked, I do want to just say, stay tuned. Just stay tuned. But when I think about North Carolina, first, let me say this. We have to the Black community, Black entrepreneurs, we have to pay attention to trends, right? That keeps this country running and what those opportunities are. So I like to make this joke that green energy is the new DEI. And I'm putting that out there to just say, don't miss the opportunities in the green energy sector, because there's significant potential for Black entrepreneurs to lead in areas like solar installation, energy efficient consulting. All of us could do that. We were born for that. Our ancestors did that. And, just sustainable construction, like, you know what I mean? So I want to make sure that I put that out there as we're saying the future of Black entrepreneurship, but especially in North Carolina. But to what you were saying about what can we do now? Like, what can we do as we think about the future of entrepreneurship? It's not that hard, y'all. Start where you are. It's really not that hard. whether that, and when I say start where you are, that could mean, y'all, I keep using this word mentoring. It changes the game. It could mean you decide one person you're either going to mentor or one person you are going to seek out to become a mentor for you. Because knowledge sharing and knowledge transfer is our most powerful tool. It always has been. Our ancestors called it storytelling, but it's the same thing. And a lot of that stuff, you don't find it in black and white sometimes. Sometimes it's in one brain to the next. So to me, the biggest thing we can do for ourselves is really and truly take the approach of making sure that we are in the right networks, whether that's a network of one other person or a network of 100 people, where we're really being able to transfer that knowledge and apply that knowledge for the betterment of our community. So that's the key thing that I would say. Like, there's a whole lot of other things that I can say, but that's really what it boils down to for me at the end of the day.
And I think that with that, I've always found mentors, and people will then say, well, how do I find a mentor? So I think that I always like to prophesy that something will happen. So I'm going to prophesy that with one of these, we'll talk about that, because the thing is, I think people get intimidated. I think also people are not prepared. And so I really, if you are just like, hey, you want to be my mentor? No, ma'am. No, sir. I don't know you. You know what I mean? Like, that's just, so give me some details about what you're thinking, what you do, where you want to go. And I think sometimes it is in the way that you approach people. So where you approach them, how you approach them, what you send them. And so just being professional in that, to me, makes a difference. But I think we definitely need to talk a little bit more about mentorship this year. So we'll definitely make that one of these episodes and just, really kind of give you some steps and some things, because I've always taken mentees that I saw what they were doing already. And I'm like, I could help them. Because I like what you're doing. And they didn't come to me. I just saw what they were doing and then was able to lend a hand. The other thing that I would say is, when approaching people and trying to get mentors, I want somebody that's smarter than me, that's more connected than I am. You know what I mean? Or, has already had experience in certain things. So just kind of looking at that, I think a lot of times people are asking people to be mentors because they see something, you know what I mean? But they're not really investigating the person's background to see if that person should be a mentor to them or not. And so I remember somebody tried to mentor me years ago, and I just wasn't ready. I wasn't. And it was because she was talking about politics, and I was like, I don't want to get into politics. I hate politics, to be honest with you. I'm like, because it always seems like it's a quid pro quo. And she was like, well, no, you could come, you could be on the city council, you could do such and such. And I was like, I don't even live on that side of town. So I can't even, do what you're doing. I would need to kick whoever's on my side of town out. And the thing is, that was not necessarily just me being young. It was just me telling you at the time, that wasn't something that I was interested in. And so a person may want to help you and it just may not click. It just may not be your time, but it is an important thing to find a mentor and to be able to just kick some ideas around that are in here that you need to get out. And a lot of times that can be the secret sauce to what you're doing. So thank you for saying that for sure. Okay. So everybody, we're going to get on to some things that are happening. So with what Magalie is doing up here in Durham at Forward Cities, everybody's welcome to come. It's a third Thursday event, and every third Thursday it's networking, it's food. And then there are 2 sessions, which, hold on. She wanted Tammy. She said, amen. Let me get the tambourine. Tammy was chilling though. She was like, when you gonna let me get in? Okay, thank you for asking for Tammy. Appreciate that. Because Tammy stays ready, right? Just calm down, ma'am. So with this month, which is next week, I will be doing the second session, which is specifically talking about building capacity in your business. So if you kind of take from this conversation, we knew what we were going to kind of talk about today. And so that to me is one thing that we've kind of talked about in a roundabout way, but then those are some of the things that we'll be talking about specifically next week. And then there's going to be another session that Santiago is leading that is talking about AI. So you can do the AI session, and then at 7:10 is my session. So feel free to come out. We would definitely love to be able to pack the room. I mean, the last time I was there, we packed the room, so I don't see why it should be any different. And so you don't have to worry about, like I said, food and beverage. You just need to get there, get your parking space, get in the building, and then be able to do some of those things and possibly find that mentor or possibly find that next client. So that's something that's coming up. Then also our Black Leaders Luncheon. I just want to kind of put everybody up there that's coming. So when we look at this, this is our next event, and Forward City's Black Wall Street Forward portion is sponsoring this event. And so this is one that we're doing because it was like, well, if we're talking about 2025 and beyond, what can we do next? And to get Black leaders in the room from across the state was an important thing for me. So if you look on the screen and you see this, Kenyatta was in the Durham Council. Calvin just told me today he can't make it in person, but he's going to send some messages. He was in the Winston-Salem Council. And then Crystal was inside of the Fayetteville Council. So we have that, but then we also have people from different areas. And so my intent was, if you're going to pay money to come to something, it's not just networking, right? Like you should meet somebody that can connect you to something else. So from my knowledge, all of the wonderful people that are coming can connect you to something else. Maybe that I didn't know it. Oh, shoot, what? You know, like it, to me, it's one of those things where once you see who's in the room, it's impactful. And the reason I say that is because I'm sure that all of us have been in some rooms where your customer is not there. Okay. Mm-hmm. So this is a room where either your customer is there or that mentor could possibly be there, or somebody else that knows more than you do about a certain subject matter can help you get access to something else. Okay. So definitely come out on the 27th, and we do have limited tickets left, but feel free to go ahead and, shoot your shot on that. But you can go to giveittothepeople.com/BLKBIZ. So that'll take you there. Then in addition, we're going to be having a thing called the Be in the Ecosystem Virtual Summit. So this is going to be on Thursday, the 17th of April. And this is talking about more of what we talked about. So the ecosystem is huge. All right. And so Magalie, how many different ecosystem meetings would you say you go to in a month?
1, 2, 7. I think it's 7.
Okay, so let's just use you as an example. If she's going to 7 different meetings that are statewide, right? So different areas of the state.
One is national.
Okay, one's national. So with that, aren't there people that overlap in some of those? And then there's some that those people don't know each other at all.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. So our goal is to really look at this from a statewide perspective. So we'll be having different speakers from all over the state that'll be coming to this. It's going to be completely free. It's online. If anybody wants to sponsor, we love sponsorship. So we have a sponsorship packet too, where you'll get a commercial that's 30 seconds, or you can talk for the time frame that you want to talk if you want to do that live. And then your social media, your marketing, and all of the rest of that. So people know who you are as a business owner or as an entrepreneurial support organization. And so the thing about this is there's so many things that I've learned that I just want to share with you. And so if I can then say, well, this person knows such and such, and if you knew this one thing, that might change the trajectory of your business. These are the kind of people that we're bringing on here. So definitely tune into that. That'll be on the 17th. You can go ahead and register now, totally, completely free. And then at the end, what we would love for you to do is we would love for you to take a survey so that this way you can let us know feedback-wise what you thought about today. What did you think about this specific session? How wonderful did you think it was? Because I mean, I'm sure that that's there, but it only lets you pick certain things. So it's going to be really quick. But we love to get really good feedback because that helps us say this was worth the time. Now, we always know that we're going to have great speakers, but we want you as the audience to be able to feel that same way too. So I hope that this has been able to give you some perspective to really help you see some of the things that, you know, this Black History Month you can do to continue to grow your business and to sustain, right? So we have a comment that says, I would love to have a mentor. And thanks for sharing some of the best ways to inquire. Oh, I have so much more. So we'll be doing some more stuff on that, right? And then you said, always appreciate the valuable education and resources provided by Give It to the People. Excited to be a part of this community. Yay! All right. So you've got that. And then did I have another? Oh no, that's the end of this. So the other thing that I did want to share with you guys before you leave is I wanted to see, Magalie, do you have any final things that you want to say? And then I'm going to show them a little bit of the membership portion.
Oh, I was just about to say, should I ask how do people become a member? But okay.
That was perfect. Yes, you should. Okay, so let's go ahead and I'm going to pull it up just so you guys can see. And one of the things is that we created the platform so that we would be able to allow people to interact online. All right. And this should be it. All right. Now, you guys, can you see it on the screen? Yep. Okay, perfect. So with this, go to giveitgetit.biz. All right. And then when you go there, this is what the site looks like. So this particular site allows us, or allows you, to be able to find other members that are there, to be able to leave reviews for members too. So if that's one of the things that I think businesses thrive on. So when you talk about like the Better Business Bureau, a lot of times we need somebody to say, oh, that person was good. This service was great. The food, the whatever it is that they do. So you can also leave reviews for other members that are on there. You can connect with other members online. You can also list your own events up there. So if you have your own event and you're like, oh, okay, well, I want more people to know about it. Once you put it in there, then we can share it also. And that, I think, is an important factor, because a lot of, I think people want to compare it more so to a chamber of commerce, but it's not. In relation to, it's a statewide thing. And also in relation to things that chambers may not necessarily do is help you promote your business, right? And so by people being able to put that in there, then that helps. When we do sessions like these, and then some of our other ones that are recorded for members, they're in our video section. We put out helpful tips and things on our blog that help you to be able to know more about what's happening in the business. And then what we do too is we send our emails out with extra information that we don't share with the public, because we want it just for our members. So the thing that's great here is that you do get the opportunity. Hold on, because I'm gonna have to go do this. You do get the opportunity to also kind of look at the fact of, is this worth me feeling like, I want to invest in, right? So when you go to the part where it's talking about becoming a member, we have this, you can join for free, okay? The website can also be translated into multiple languages. So if you don't speak English, you can do that as well. But for $47, that's our monthly thing. You can pay that in, different increments. You can pay it by monthly, you can pay it quarterly. So we have different options for you to do that. And also when we have events, for you to be able to get discounts to exhibitor fees and be able to also come to member only events. So it's a lot of different things that are offered inside of it. And we definitely appreciate you guys, join, even if you join for free. And I'm gonna tell you why, because a platform online, and Magalie has mentioned this throughout the whole thing, it cannot be as robust if there aren't people online, right? So she's talking about your digital footprint. We're talking about giving you digital things, right? Judith says she's already a member, right? So we want you guys to join. And like I said, I do like to get money, okay? However, this isn't just about money. This is about everything that we talked about today, building that community. And it's not just for Black people. So I want you to know anybody is more than welcome to join. And so don't think that, oh, I have to be Black to join, because you don't. It is definitely open to everybody. And we definitely want to make that accessible, which is why we have a free version. So if it's not in your budget yet, that is fine. Just go ahead and still join and communicate with the people online. And we do have, like I said, classes and things that are only for members. So what we do have coming up is we're going to be doing a mentoring Q&A, right? So isn't that just wonderful? And that's going to be coming up on the 21st. So you'll get the opportunity to be online, talk to different mentors, ask them different questions, and then also be in different online rooms with other entrepreneurs that are members as well. So go to giveitgetit.biz and go ahead and join, and ta-da, right? Now, if you're a business service organization, you can join as well. So anybody that knows me knows I love to stay on time. I do not like to be late. And I want to say, Magalie, thank you so much for being on today, because I think this was a really good, timely conversation and things that people needed to hear. So thank you. I appreciate you for being on.
Thank you for having me. Anytime I'll come back, I'll kick it with everybody.
Yes.
We love the Give It Get It business family.
Yes. And guess what? You guys, if you come out on the 27th to the luncheon, you will get to see Magalie. So we had somebody say, oh my God, I love Magalie and Chisa. And we're like, yay, we love. So so if you come out on the 27th, she'll be there as well. Are you going to be there on the 20th at E3 Durham?
Yes.
Okay, so you got the 20th, the 27th. You can come see us. You got 2 opportunities to see us in person this month. And for everybody who's watching, if you're watching on the replay, feel free to share, feel free to comment still. And for everybody that's live, thank you so much. Make sure you always show up and show out, and that you continue to give it to the people. And we'll see you hopefully at a venue near you. And we'll be posting our next one of these soon. So keep staying connected and be in the ecosystem. Bye, guys.